Hey guys, I'm not the only one, you're not the only one who is sensing something a little bit off, a little bit fishy regarding the overblown media coverage surrounding BTS Suga's unfortunate DUI with his scooter. Usually when something like that happens, especially when it involves a top celebrity, people are very quick to be suspicious as to what is being covered up. What sort of political scandal or rich person scandal or any other kind of news that there's a vested interest in covering up is going on and sacrificing a member of Korea's artistic community? Well, we didn't even have to wait that long because Suga's incident happened on Wednesday night. And wouldn't you know what happened on Thursday morning? An unalive investigator was discovered. What was he investigating? A scandal involving the wife of the president of South Korea and a Dior bag. Let's put things in perspective. Suga fell off of his scooter while parking it, and he had a breathalyzer done by the police who so conveniently were nearby, and he's being excoriated in the public. This is a little creepy, it's a lot scary, and there seems to be too many mysterious unaliving incidents where somebody supposedly unalived themselves after a very contentious battle in a very highly charged political atmosphere. So what happened? A 51-year-old man named Mr. Kim, and I don't even know why they're not releasing his name because he had a very high up important position in the Anti-Corruption and Civil Rights Commission. Essentially, this was an agency that was created in 2008 to combine a bunch of agencies dealing with government corruption and focused more on where does a member of the public call if you're like, I need to report a little bit of corruption here. Well, this was the agency tasked with a complaint that was filed by individuals of the public against the wife of South Korea's president. And so he was found on Thursday morning around 9:50 a.m. by some colleagues who said he's not answering his phone, he hasn't showed up to work. So they went over there, they found him in the bedroom, and they said that there was a note, but they haven't released the exact details of the note. They just said it was very short, and he complained about how difficult it was for him psychologically. So they're already painting him as like he was not well, and so he chose this instead of being unalived by somebody creeping into his bedroom. So that is the question here. However, the police already the prosecutor says, oh, there's no foul play here, so we're going to close this case. It's not suspicious. There's no evidence of foul play. And we've also heard the opinions of the bereaved family. However, the bereaved family is saying, at their funeral, they're just like, you know what? We need to get down to the bottom of this. We need to find the truth of how our family member passed away. Does that sound like somebody who thinks that everything is right? Nobody's asked for. We demand to discover the truth and to find out who is responsible. If you think on face value the note was correct and that your family member unalived themselves, it's super sus. So what was he investigating? He was in charge of the investigation into the president's wife and the opposition leader who ran against the current president, who's also had a string of people around him suddenly unaliving themselves. So this is a little bit scary and this is a little bit creepy, all over like a Dior bag, okay? It's about a Dior bag, but because it's Dior and because it's a luxury item, it captures the interest of the public a lot more. But at its core, it's about abuse of power. So what happened? Well, let's first show this bag. Yes, it's a fabulous bag. It is called the Lady Dior clutch, or oh my gosh, you're having me looking at Dior bags. It is cloud blue Lady Dior pouch, a calfskin. So you know that's the good leather. That's the good leather that feels soft but it's durable and it takes color really well. That's a very nice color, good choice for the First Lady. You know, if she had bought it on her own, that is total. I think, I don't know exactly what her style is, but if she carried this around, it would look really good on her. However, how do we know? She got set up. Okay, so in some ways, this was a total setup. Oh yeah, they had it in for the First Lady. These people who did this. Oh yeah, and it was a pastor. Yes, a guy named Mr. Che, and you know, he's an old ajushi guy, but you know, if there's anybody that does something a little bit wrong in Korea, and if they do have American citizenship, oh, they're quick to say, oh, he's a Korean American pastor. But it looks like this guy was not born in America. He had probably immigrated to America, got his citizenship, and still very involved in Korean politics. There are a lot of Korean Americans like that. They're super involved in Korean politics, even though they got their US citizenship and are living in Korea. Now, it came in two parts. The Dior part is the second part, and that happened in September 2022, and he had a hidden camera on his watch where he filmed the First Lady take this bribe of a Dior bag. And this was a few months after her husband was sworn in as president. And a few months after that, they published it on YouTube on the Voice of Seoul channel. And if you remember, you probably don't remember, but the Voice of Seoul, that YouTube channel really had it in for Yoon Suk-yeol, the candidate at the time, and the First Lady. They had serious concerns about these two, and during the election of 2022, before President Yoon got elected in May 2022, you know, there's a lot of campaigning, kind of like where the US is right now, and a lot of hit pieces. And so the Voice of Seoul, they, I don't know why the First Lady didn't catch on, but she has been targeted by them. And so there was a phone call, they recorded it. It was like 7 hours, and she was talking a lot about all the shamanistic stuff, about like how her husband and her were kind of set up through this, like on the advice of the shaman, saying like, oh, they were both destined to be alone, but then, you know, the shaman saying like they would be a good match for you, and some other weird things, you know, when we were hearing about the potential shaman-run presidency again, and how there might be a shaman that was moved into the presidential office compounds in the residency. People were like really kind of ticked off by that. So Voice of Seoul already did that. Then this whole Dior situation, they also published on their YouTube channel in November of 2022. The actual incident where they filmed was September 2022, and yes, that purse is 3 million won, and with the exchange rate, I guess $2,250. And the official rule is that you can't take a gift over $750 if you're like related to a politician, apparently. But the thing is that this was, like I said, it was like the second visit, because they really wanted to get this bribery situation on camera and documented, because actually in June, the same pastor had visited Kim Gun-hee and sort of tested the waters with about $1,500 worth of Chanel cosmetics as a bribe, and he's like, oh, she had no problem accepting it, which is probably why then he amped it up to a Dior bag the second time around. But it wasn't just about her accepting luxury gifts. What this pastor said really ticked him off was that he witnessed while he was there, she getting phone calls all over the place, and the Yoon administration had just been like 1 month in, so they're appointing all these people, and the pastor said that he witnessed the wife of the president getting involved in presidential appointments and blocking somebody's candidacy because of her opinions. And so he was just like, okay, this is horrible, because she's not elected. She is not somebody who should be getting involved in her husband's decisions as the president of South Korea. And not only that, we've already have documented that she bases her decision making a lot of times in her life on shamanic influences. We have this is like another, mini Jin situation. And so he really did not like that, along with Voice of Seoul. And so in the fall, he came back again under the guise of, hey, we're from the same hometown, and, I'm really passionate about reunification of the Korean Peninsula. So I want to express my, opinions on that. And then here's some Chanel and here's some Dior. I don't know, this pastor must have some good taste over in, the Rodeo Drive of Korea. And so he bringing all this stuff to her, and she's accepting it. Now since there was clear evidence of that started to kick it up into investigations, and they kind of set it up. They set up oh, this is corrupt. We have the evidence, and we're going to make the phone call and the tip-off to this anti-corruption unit within the government that accepts ordinary citizens' requests for investigations. And so that's how the investigation got started, and it was going on for such a long time. However, in June of this year, so just a couple months ago, the commission decided to find no guilt or close the case based on a technicality. And so the official statement was that, well, we can't declare any bribery or wrongdoing or corruption because this law doesn't apply to wives. It only applies to the elected officials. And so that pissed off a lot of people in the public, because when people are looking at Korea from the outside, and sometimes y'all wonder why are people so going after and investigating the wives of the politician? Because a lot of times the bribery goes to the wife. You don't call the politician, you call the missus, and she's brokering things. And this is another situation where it just goes to prove how unjust the situation is that because of this technicality that, well, this unit is supposed to investigate public officials who are doing bribery, but she's not a public official, even though she's doing bribery. So it's one of these situations where you're not saying that nothing bad happened, but it's just not technically illegal because she is not the politician. However, so it looks like there was a lot of deal making going on, because it also pissed off this Mr. Kim, who was found unalived, because he really disagreed with that decision. He said that there's evidence of him talking to other people, and people have said that, oh, this is what he was talking to us about. He was very aggrieved by this decision from the higher ups, even though he's not the highest up, but he's basically one ring down. And so he was very upset with how that decision was made and forced upon him to close this investigation. What he wanted to do was actually refer this case and probably give all of the evidence to a different government agency where maybe they could go after the wife of a politician. But it looked like they were successfully able to say, like, well, our agency only goes after the politicians, so wives don't count. But that doesn't mean that there might be some other parts of the government, other authorities that would have the power to go after corruption involving the wife. And we've definitely seen that play out in Korean politics, where the wife of the justice minister totally got I mean, their lives were destroyed as well from a corruption scandal. And you could kind of see how that was definitely a very weaponized case against them. Did they do something wrong? Yes. Was the degree of that kind of attack justified? I don't think so. And definitely that guy is, he's back. He wants his revenge. So this is kind of like the situation that is created here. When you keep abusing power like this, you make an enemy for several lifetimes. Okay, you think that you just unalive this person this lifetime and they're not gonna come track you down sometime else, maybe in a different millennia or eon. So because this case against the First Lady had so many hooks into public opinion because it involved luxury goods. Remember I said, like, the total amount, at least from what we've seen from this particular case, is just about $5,000. The other person that I mentioned that this Mr. Kim, who was found unalive, was investigating, is the figurehead of the opposition party to the president, and he also ran for president, almost won. Remember that whole drama? You can look at it on my channel. But he is accused of stealing about $50 million at least in different shady development land deals. But because that story is so complicated and it involves more paperwork and it doesn't have like a obvious Dior bag attached to it, it's harder for the public to grasp. So this definitely had legs within public opinion, and because it was so unfair, people were really upset about it in Korea over the summer. And then now, with the lead investigator in that case being found unalive, this should dominate the headlines. However, what is dominating instead? Suga and his scooter. Okay, a scooter and BTS Suga on a pavement. That's what's dominating headlines. That's what's making people extremely suspicious. So is there skin in the game to use Suga like this? Absolutely. Which is why I wanted to bring up this whole First Lady and Dior bag. Before, I was kind of thinking like, yeah, maybe we should talk about this, but it just wasn't, I don't think, big enough for an international audience. But now, in context of how this scandal is using BTS Suga, it should just give you another indication of, at least, of course, we have to see the contracts on how this, if it was a media play, but if we're not privy to it, it's extremely convenient. And there are so many extreme conveniences that have followed a similar pattern. And so I think at least, let's hope that they ain't doing all this over a Dior bag, but if they are, that is how much of a waste to society this is. You're willing to unalive people who are trying to do their job in the government and work on behalf of a fair society, and you're willing to destroy the reputation of one of the biggest K-pop idols who only brings so much love to Korea, just to save your own hide so that you can keep that good calfskin Dior clutch, which I think she even had to return or put in custody or something like that. There was this whole hoopla, like, where's the bag? And then they had to like locate it, and she said, oh, it was I just put it in like the basement somewhere, and then I guess they found it and they submitted it to the government or something. But all of that just for a stupid Dior bag and like Chanel cosmetics that she's probably already ran through. That is what some people are willing to do, like, don't care. And then let's not even talk about the other, well, we'll talk about it in the next videos, maybe this weekend, but the whole elite college drug scandal, and then there's of course the SM Cacao scandal. So BTS Suga and his little scooter came at an extremely convenient time. The thing is that if the public actually says, no, we're not going to play along with that story, we want to hear the real story, then I think we can minimize the effects on Suga, and also in the future signal that we're not going to be that easy or ignorant in terms of having all of this like manipulation played on us. But as it is right now, we're all being played, and it seems to be working. So stand up, everybody, I think. What do you guys think, though? Put your comments below. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.